Hey guys, Cartwright here. Thanks for listening, watching wherever you are. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe wherever you listen or watch. We're so grateful that you've watched our podcast. But also, we want to answer your questions, so please send in your questions. Hit that link in the bio. Send us a question. We love answering the questions that you have. Anyway, thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. Excited for another episode here, Bo.
What is this, 7?
8 or 9? Something like that.
Yeah, if you include our...
Oh, all the extras. Yeah. Yeah, today, I guess what keeps coming up in this conversation, or I feel like we're building towards something, or always just talking about what resonates, but like the key word identity. We're hitting that, I think, in episode 2 a little bit, even the last one, when we talk about the forging of men, where we've been forged. And I thought a great example would be the movie Gladiator.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know. Me and my wife, a big thing we love to do is watch movies. And probably the last 4 or 5 years since we've been together is like, how do we watch each other's stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I've been watching a lot of her stuff,
Yeah.
you know, but, you know, more than my stuff, but
What's
whatever.
an example of her stuff?
You know, Gilmore Girls, you know, which is not a bad show.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But mine was, it's been a minute. It's Gladiator, right?
Yeah.
We gotta watch Gladiator.
Yeah.
You know? So we end up watching on Saturday during my son's nap.
Is it on Amazon? What's it on?
Paramount.
Okay.
So yeah, we got that inexpensive.
Yeah, it's like 99 cents.
For 2 months or something. I got that one. It's good. Watch some Landman, which is not a bad one.
I watched Survivor on that.
There you go.
All the seasons of Survivor.
Man,
rewatch them.
Yeah, rewatch them.
I really do.
Did you watch the Jimmy Johnson one?
No.
Yeah,
on Survivor?
He was on Survivor. Coach of the Dallas
football
Cowboys.
coach?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I was
I
probably
need to go back and watch that.
Probably one of the early ones, but
okay.
Anyway, I'm sure they're all listening to us talk about reality TV.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought a great conversation for us as men in the context of our identity, who we are. I really loved the first 40 minutes of the movie. I mean, the movie as a whole, but there was something about the first 40 minutes that really like stimulated this thought. And I think, spoiler alert to anybody out there, but the first 40 minutes really, it hammers in this thought as men that we really need a place, a purpose, an ambition, a battlefield in a sense to go fight, as well as a sanctuary, a place of rest, peace, comfort. And you really see that where he, the movie obviously begins with him in a fight, the ultimate like endorphins, testosterone.
Or he's like a general.
He's a general, right?
Yeah. So he's a high-ranking, like, big title.
Right. Wins the battle, praise by his men, respect from his men, and then also love and respect you see from a father figure, a leader, Marcus Aurelius. It's like that moment, that culmination, you experience that. And then you see the contrast of the villain, spoiler alert, right? In Commodus, Joaquin Phoenix character walks up and you're like, he is the exact opposite of him. Like, motivated by power, control, manipulation, where you see Maximus. He is a guy, one of respect and honor and, values driven. So you kind of have this interesting, you really see it. They do it very quickly where they show you kind of the difference in even some of Marcus Aurelius' words. But so he has that ultimate success, respect, love, as well as, and then it brings in, it's like, okay, now that he has an ultimate where he's finally done, there's a completion, there's success, and he's going home. Mm-hmm. He's going to be with his wife and his son, and he's going to get to actually be there and like be where he's away from the battle, gets to rest. And you see in a very quick moment, all of that is taken away. His title, his army, and not only that, but he loses his wife and son are killed, executed. And now all of a sudden, like, you're 30, 40 minutes in, and he is has neither and he's a slave.
Hmm.
And there's something too that I think as men, those things are like extensions of him. They are 100% his identity is being expressed in being a general, and as well as his occupation in a sense, but as well as in being a father and a husband and a place and like that sanction that like men need both in their life.
Yeah.
But all that's taken away, and what's left, and what's great is the rest of the movie shows like there's a level of like, okay, what am I? If everything, all of this is taken away, who am I? You know, and like that, it's almost like there's a Christ-like figure to that. There's like a Christ-like moment of like, all right, now here's the resurrection in a sense of this is all right. This is who I am, and what we see is him now all of a sudden like defying an emperor and resetting an entire country. That's the guy. That's who he is, right? And so I think there is something too. The discussion as men, it's like if I stripped all this away, who would I be? If no one knew who I was, I didn't have this job, I didn't have the joys, the comforts, or even the good things in life, like a family, and it's like who am I? And I think that thought process, there's definitely been in my moments of low moments where you're just like this. That's the defining stuff of who am I going to be? Who am I if I'm not X? I had these ideas to be that, and I'm not. Okay, who am I then? That's the person that needs like where we talk about the inside out living versus outside in, right? It's just fascinating. Like, yeah, I just think that process, if we even want to go back to Matthew 3:17, right? And think of, this is my son who I'm well pleased. Why is that significant? This is my son who I'm well pleased. He hasn't done anything. Jesus' ministry has not started.
Mm-hmm.
He's his son. That's why he's well pleased. It's not about anything action he's done. There's no, and we see Jesus, the ultimates, he was successful in everything he did pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, obviously, right? There's people who rejected him, but I would think that's not a failure, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like, there's a level of like, we as men, like that question keeps I was watching that movie and I'm like, oh, who would I become if all of that's stripped away and I wake up and I'm a slave? And you see that all culminating in the movie, which is really interesting because he stands before where they're like, okay, he's got the stock of slaves right there, and they all got to fight this main guy who's big, and and they're gonna like brand you as like good, average, bad, or something, and you get paired with and he steps up, and you're supposed to prove your fighting skills, and he just stands there. I got nothing to prove. Nothing to prove to you. Like, like, isn't that wild? Like, I just thought that was interesting. It came, it's like, and I think as men, how do we get to that place where we have nothing to prove to our fellow men?
Mm-hmm.
We got nothing. It's like, this is who I am. This is who I'm about. This is who I follow. Like, I believe that, Jesus is Lord. He is who he says he is, and this is who he died to be, right? And this is because of that, this is who I am in line with that. Okay. And that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Failure, success, disappointment, wins, losses, right? All those things, like, they don't make us who we are. I think they're extension in many ways. But anyway, I don't know. That was just something I really was like, man, resonating with as I'm listening and watching this movie that I've seen probably hundreds of times, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Seen bits, probably in the last 10, 15 years. I have not watched it beginning to end. I've, picked it up on probably TBS or something like that. But this is the first time in a while, and you're like, oh, wow. There was like something really good about that character, that he was the resolute, he was the rock everybody hit on, and they were the ones they wanted to come in line with. And you even see Commodus try to use him, like, hey, I see something in...
Is that the emperor or whatever?
Yeah, the villain, where he tries to go, all right, are you loyal to me? But really, he's like, I want you on my side because I need you to feel successful. I need you to make me feel validated as an emperor. And he's like, no, I got somewhere to be. And that was another thing, an interesting scene at the beginning was the reason why Marcus Aurelius wanted him as emperor is because he didn't want it. And there's a whole probably discussion that we can have at some point is throughout history, every leader that we truly admire still today, hundreds of years after, is the reluctant one.
Mm. Wow.
The George Washingtons, even Martin Luther King to a degree, we guys like that who were like, had to be convinced. William Wallace, I think, was that way. He initially was like, I don't want any part of this. But the reluctant one.
Also makes me think of, you've seen The Patriot with Mel Gibson?
Yeah.
His character
plays a lot of those guys, didn't he?
Yeah, he didn't want to lead the militia. Like, he was like totally against it.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want to fight the British. He just wanted to kind of be at home with his family. And, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's true. There's a lot of leaders like that.
Yeah. Like
George Washington wanted nothing to do. Like you said, he didn't want to do.
Yeah.
What was he didn't want to be a part of the army or something like that.
Well, this is what was interesting is America really is what it is because he decided he didn't want to be a king.
Oh,
like,
right.
I want to serve, I want to serve.
Yeah,
he served one term and was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
Like, that reluctance made, what America is.
Yeah.
Like, it's not led by a king.
Yeah.
By a president, by a public servant.
Yeah. Yeah. And just thinking about politics today, too. I mean, gosh, like, you feel like who would be crazy enough to run for president? It's you know what I mean? Like, why would you?
Yeah.
Why in the world? And so I think a lot of guys that would probably be really, really good at it.
Yeah.
And effective at it. Don't do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they don't want.
I don't want any part of that. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's probably why a lot of our politics is so kind of upside down.
Right. Because I think I would say majority of them on both sides, they want power.
Yeah.
And because it's like, what I love about the Lord of the Rings story and Tolkien, really, the whole theme of the whole is every character believes if I had the power, I would use it for good.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the common theme throughout human history. If I had it, I would use it for good. And 99.99 out of 100, ends up, no, you use it for your own selfish gain or you use it for
even
evil.
If you don't
or
realize it at the time.
Yeah.
Like, don't you think there's an aspect of like maybe some of these guys that are like, maybe they're serious, maybe they really do believe it. Like, no, I really won't take advantage of the power or like do anything. And then once you get in, I wonder if everything changes. Like, how could you?
Because power corrupts.
Yeah.
There's no doubt you have to be established in who you are before power. Like, it's wild to think about. Like, when people have been writing this stuff for hundreds of years, or we have movies about it, it's like, it's a real thing. Power corrupts. When you get some of it, and we all assume I will do good with. That's why, like, the whole, like, communism, socialism argument, it's not a real argument because we've seen it time after time. When you give a small amount of people power and control over others, they will 9 times out of 10 not use it for good, even if they have good intentions, right?
Yeah.
It's just, it's a real human behavior. And I think that what's interesting about the movie Gladiator is like Marcus really goes, that's why you're qualified for this, because you don't want it.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's what's interesting is like, that's why I think, and it's not just even government. We see it in, we've seen it in business. We've see it in family, right? When certain men, they get a level of authority, control, and they abuse it.
Yeah.
Or they use it they use it on others, and it turns them into something that they didn't want to be.
Yeah.
And, because I think it's sometimes it's like they're using the stuff in life that's, like we talk about here, like men are forged. Like, are you using that stuff in life to grow you and shape you to realize you're not a finished product? or using some of that stuff in life to actually benefit yourself and grow you. And so when it doesn't work out, you get mad and angry and try to
politics, business, and ministry for sure.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Right. I mean, you start a ministry, it does really well. You see a lot of lives changed. You get, the return on people like buying into your ministry and then also buying into, Christianity or whatever, and people getting saved and stuff. And then, man, slowly over time, how many times do you see certain people or ministries across the country, like kind of not be over time what they originally were at the beginning?
Yeah.
And it's got to be I'm not saying they're corrupt, even though some may be, but there's just kind of like a certain level of like decay that happens whenever humans start getting more control and like more, right? When you say, I mean,
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why, I think this movie is a good example. Is like, before you get into those roles, you really have to find out who I am and make a decision going in. You have to like really approach eyes wide open, because like, I mean, to your point about ministries, you see like in the name of the ministry, we're going to be doing this for the growth. But it's like that can be easily changed, manipulated, and you can step over people and do stuff again like that hurts the ministry in the name of for the ministry.
Right. I was about to say, yeah, you think you're doing right by the ministry.
Yeah.
By kicking people to the curb and taking advantage and because of the ministry and ends up decaying. That's a good segue. I was going to ask you, what do you see like in men in their 20s and 30s? Like, where do you kind of see this identity thing, or, or how can you think about it at least? Because, a lot of guys our age, they're not going to be in positions where they like have the power quite now, but like, how can you kind of prepare yourself to like, because to me, my initial thought is like, gosh, I really don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, right.
I really don't want to be that guy. And then also within that same vein, I don't trust myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just don't trust myself. Like you can say, hey, Bo, you're going to be a CEO of a big business in 3 years. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, I really need to prepare for, I need to build something here so that I don't become that guy. What is that something you think? Like, what can you do to help prepare for
Well,
that?
one, you could surround yourself with a few, like what we always talk about, it's just other older men.
Some truth tellers.
Some people have failed. So that's another thing. Like we think we need to be around the successful. We need to be around the people that have made it in life. And probably a lot of those guys have probably learned the most from their failure, but we've only seen the success, right? So how do we get around some of those, like, there's truly humble, authentic, and when we say those words, it's like those are the people that have learned from their failure and they're willing to share that.
Yeah, right.
Like
there's humility.
There's some humility. There's some, and what it is, it's just humanity. They're human. They realize they're human. They're not some like semi-deity. And I'm kind of being tongue-in-cheek, but some people act like that.
But how tempting is that, though? I mean, if you have a team of people that like really respect you and like you've built something to, whatever the end point is, and we've talked about the end point not being all of what we shape it up to be, but like I could totally feel I could see the temptation of like, well, that person's definitely not right because I'm the guy that got us here, or like, you know what I mean? That's like the humility required is. It almost feels like it'd have to be practiced daily, like beaten into your head in a way, like, because when you get in those situations, that would be tough.
Well, I think if I could use the movie again, for example, is the tension of, what leads to the moment where Marcus Aurelius dies and Commodus becomes emperor is the virtues that Marcus really sees in Maximus he doesn't see in Commodus. And Commodus' response, he goes, well, I know I don't have his virtues, but I have other ones, like ambition. And you're like, and ambition can be used for something good, like progress, stuff that we hear all the time. And ambition's not a bad thing, but there's something about in life is what, I think we've talked about the living intention constantly. Yes, be ambitious, but also be humble.
Yeah. Yep.
Learn to be passionate, but also find clarity.
Yeah.
Be willing to take feedback. Be willing to open to hear other voices. Be confident but humble. Be, be willing to, pursue growing in your strength in all areas of your life, but also value rest, being at peace with where you are, right? There's just so many things that need to be held in tension in life. That truth is held in tension. And when someone leans so far the other way, it really does borderline on.
Or the ability to make decisions efficiently and quickly, but not too fast.
Yeah.
Like make sure you get the right answers that's total. I mean, again, it's this thing that we constantly talk about here on this podcast. It's the tension that we live in as Christian men trying to navigate this world of like, there's always probably two things that are true.
Yeah.
And how do you balance both? And I think that's a massive thing that probably not ever will like figure it out fully, or maybe you do, but I think through experience and through failure, you kind of learn how to do that.
Yeah.
Especially during your 20s and 30s.
And you learn, and that's what you should use in your 20s and 30s is figure out where do I lean on maybe that spectrum of, and therefore you're aware of it.
Yeah.
It's like my strength is actually, I'm a driver. I'm an ambitious guy. I like to go. Okay. That's good. But when is too much?
Yeah.
When do I need to pull back? When do I need to learn to be more reflective and evaluate and think of things differently and have a more, what things am I going to put in my life, right? So yeah, it's like, I think that's the 20s and 30s for, is to figure that out. So when you do step into more leadership opportunities, you could be aware of that in others, know what they're motivated by, but too, like you're not just grabbing people and putting them on your train and saying, all right, put up or shut up, like, or, are you on or off, like mindset, which is like, that's not, you're going to turn around. There's only going to be people like you, and that's going to lead to chaos.
Yep. And I'm guilty of that.
Yeah. Or you just got people constantly coming off. There's a lot of turnover.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And we all know the companies that have massive turnover all the time, and the ones that don't.
Right.
And, that's really interesting. Yeah. It's almost like, I don't know the answer, but it really is a cool thought process. If you got stripped of everything, like, Gladiator did, how would you respond?
Yeah.
That's kind of and I don't know the answer, but it's a cool thing to think about.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Because one test for weekend is, and I go back to that scene where he is being like branded what kind of fighter he is. And so there are many moments like that where we feel this temptation. We're in a room or not many people know us or know us that well, or, and we gotta, like, especially in our 20s, and I've got to prove myself. Am I, prove that I'm funny, likable, smart, successful, talent. There's always that moment we got to feel like we got to step outside ourselves. And like those moments are when you got to like draw. It's like, why do I feel like I need to prove myself to a bunch of strangers?
Yeah.
Or it could be in a place of like familiarity of like college buddies, or it's just that feeling where you're like, oh, this is who they know me to be, so I have to be that. But that's not really me, that temptation. And so I think there's something to those moments of like learning how to like figure out who you are, what you're about, what do you prioritize, and not feel like you got to step out of your own skin to please the guy next to you, and just go, no, this is who I am. Like, if they're,
Yeah, it feels like that's just a constant, so if you're in your 20s and you are wanting to prove yourself, it's really, to me, that, or maybe this was just me, but like, I just want respect.
Yeah.
And when you're 25, 26, 27, even 33 like me, you're not going to get much
No.
right now. You know what I mean? So like, how else can you,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So if you're constantly trying to earn that respect by either your ambition or anything else, I mean, that's just.
Yeah. And but that changes per room, right?
Yeah.
You know, you could be in a business room with a bunch of guys you look up to in their 40s and 50s who have been successful, and you're like, you know, I want respect from them. And you'll just, you know, or you'll be in a room of your peers saying, and it'll look different. You know, it looks different. So like,
And it's crazy how
Yeah.
you end up getting the respect by owning up to mistakes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how much more is that? Do you respect a guy that's like, oh yeah, I screwed up on that, than a guy that like tries to cover his tracks and like act like he still got it done? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've all been around the guy. We've all been that guy at some point.
That's why, you know, going back to the tension thing, I always say like confidence is directly connected to humility, because people who are truly confident are very aware of who they are and what they're not.
Yeah.
And how they've failed.
Yeah.
Where people who are arrogant, so there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. Arrogant is the people that are trying to hide insecurity.
Yeah.
They're trying to hide the parts that they don't like, or they feel weak, or they've failed.
And how easy is it to dislike that person?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You know,
and we pick up on it. There's like this innate thing in us that we pick up on it.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do we actually? Yeah. So, I mean, I would say any guy that, if you felt that, I mean, I feel like I've been that guy in the room, you know, and you just, you got to turn that part of your brain off. But we all have places, you know, it's all different, and we walk into different rooms and we want to impress the room, whether it's rich people, athletes.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, even family members, or, you know, especially in our 20s, if there's a big, if there's a large group of young women my age, right? You feel that, like every guy in the room's got their chest a little popped, and they're a little more quiet.
Man, I'll be honest. I feel that temptation daily. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, just in business, like you want to be the one that's making a decision, or you want to be the one that owns something that worked well, or like, even if you're working with other people that contributed more than you did, there is this temptation to be like, that was me.
Right.
You know what I mean? That was me.
Yeah.
So I think a good, maybe, is it litmus test?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the word? Okay. So a good litmus test would be, how are you in situations where somebody else gets credit for good work that you did?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how are you?
Do I need the credit?
Yeah.
Right.
Do I have the muscle and the self-control to be like, let them have credit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Even if it was me that closed this deal, or that got this new account, or fixed this problem in our operation and made it better.
Yeah.
Am I okay with somebody else getting credit? And am I okay with my boss knowing or thinking that it was somebody else?
Right.
How are you in that situation? And I'm not great. Like I it's almost like yeah, dude, I know I always say this, but it's a muscle you work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you see or experience that in your 20s or early 30s, and what you'll see long term is, well, one, they're going to find out who really did it over time. Yeah. I mean, truth, you can't hold truth in for that long. Mm-hmm. And then when people find out that you were willing to not take credit in that moment, you get even more respect. So it's so funny how when you're humble about stuff, even if it doesn't get you the respect you want in the short term, it always seems to get you even more respect in the long term.
Right.
And that's like a constant, I feel like, and you know what I mean?
Right. 100%. And I think another litmus test is to really evaluate as we're figuring out who we are in Christ, right? That identity piece, that foundation, like is attaboys, affirmation, acknowledgement of good work. Is that an addition, or is that icing on the cake? Or is that feeding into my identity? I need it to feel confident.
Interesting. Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we got to think, it's like, is this addition? And another piece to this, Bo, is also like the context of like a false humility too, right? Which is really arrogance. It's like, oh no, thanks, man. I always love the line that, I was in a church once where it was like, when people come up to you, like, man, that was great, and give you a compliment, and then people will go, no, it's just Jesus. And somebody's, and then like the response people would start saying is like, well, it wasn't that good.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like stop with the false humility, like learn to receive compliments, but receive it in a way for your behavior, not the identity
right.
piece.
Yeah.
And that's where we gotta,
Yeah.
really be great about like living and dying off affirmation is just a poor way to live.
Yeah.
And I think a good, like to your point, it really shows, am I willing to be okay if somebody gives it credit for my work, for my accomplishments? It's like, because that is a mark of great leader.
Or if you're not, how do you,
Yeah.
like, we can get so creative in like finding a way to communicate that it actually was me. Your brain will
100%.
Another thing too, I've
done that.
I've done that for sure. Like, in an email being like, I don't know, everybody knows what we're talking about. Everybody's been there. Yeah. But like, man. So like I've had this, so in my job now, I've been there a few years, but early on, my position was kind of a new role, and we didn't really know what it looked like, and knew that I wanted to be a part of the team. And I knew that I could add value somehow, and they saw that too. And so we were trying to figure out this new role. And I think in figuring out that new role, I was constantly pushing for like, okay, this is what I did. This is what I did. This is what I did. Yeah. And I think that wears people out, that because my boss, who's amazing, was like, I remember we had a talk one time, and he was like, dude, you got to stop. I already know who you are. I already know. Yeah. You know what I mean? I know what you're about. He was like, you are already accepted here. Yeah. You know what I mean? So stop trying to act like you got to tell me every time something goes right or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, you're working from acceptance, not to acceptance.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And, man, that changed my thinking entirely. It's like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Creates a more settledness.
Yeah. Take a breather. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And just find ways to add value or do whatever. And then we eventually found out what the role was, and it works great. But like, having that freedom from my boss, Michael, hey, you're working from acceptance, not for acceptance, was huge. And by the way, what do we do on a daily basis with God and like and Jesus? Like, we're living from acceptance, not for acceptance.
Yes.
And how quickly can we turn back to like, man, I didn't do my quiet time this morning. Yeah. So I'm not in a good space with God right now. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and that's something that you've coached me on, is like, no, dude, you have to start working from you are accepted. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're valued. Mm-hmm. God knows exactly who you are. He knows exactly what you've done. He loves you, who created you. You're working from acceptance. So to tie it back to the identity piece, it's like, man, if we could just somehow work that into our brains daily of like, I'm working from acceptance, not for it. It's changed my thinking entirely. Or not for good, because I have to remind myself every day. Right. But it is a good practice to like try and think that way. Mm-hmm. And so if you have that mindset, that perspective, it's probably a little bit easier not to take credit for, or allow somebody else to have credit, or to have, this like insecurity that like is in all of us in our 20s, 30s, just like, how do I prove myself to these people? How can I be respected by these people that I respect? Yeah. And
that's not an overnight journey.
No,
I will say that. And I think that's sometimes we want to get to that finish line where we feel confident in a room with, people that are successful or whatever. And it's like, it's just not it's an ongoing like focus and mindset. And I think after being in those types of rooms, you really got to leave them and go, why did I feel insecure on that person? Why did I try so hard to get their approval? So yeah, I think, and so therefore it all comes back to our identity in Christ, to your point, Bo. It's like, how do I...
Well, and also too, like when you're in your 20s and I guess, I mean, everyone works different places and they have different, there probably are places that like guys listening to this, their work environment is like, you got to prove yourself. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you got to perform and prove yourself, but like, we've had some people that we've hired recently at Medplex and where I work. And it's so refreshing. Like, and it always is better when like you can tell the person, hey, look, we're bringing you on because we like you.
Yeah.
We know you don't have it figured out, right? We know you're not going to come in and like change things and make things better.
Right.
Now, over time, you're going to give us great ideas,
Right.
and we're going to listen to those ideas. But just have the freedom to come in, and we like you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's why you're here.
Right.
Now let's work together on figuring out like the best way you can add value here, whether you're a medical assistant or a case manager or a salesperson or, so you're here. And so we love you because that's why you're here.
Right.
But don't feel like you got to come in and like change everything, not change everything, but like, improve things overnight or like prove your worth overnight. And I think like in my experience, just saying that out loud to some people, you can kind of see the monkey get off their back a little bit, I mean, it's just like, and they perform better.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's
a level of grace in some sense.
Yeah. And their identity is not, I got to come in here and change the world.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And guys, I know guys like us that are in their 20s and 30s. I know that's a
most of us go in those environments, and that's the mindset because we have it. No one's given us permission. So y'all doing that, it just sets the tone.
Yeah, it's permission. That's right. Yeah.
It's permission of like, hey, you don't have to have it all figured out.
Right.
Like we know.
And when
you
you make a mistake, it's okay.
Just come to us. Don't try to cover it up.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Which creates that open door policy. Like it creates a more collaborative environment, and it doesn't like, hey, you better hit this or else kind of environment. And then therefore you're wanting to like hide your mistakes. You keep to yourself. You don't try to share the work. You don't try to, it's like, it's funny. We've just seen examples of both for so long, but still people, like I say, and you just revert to a certain way of how you work or how you operate as a leader. And that's what the culture ends up being created.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And almost in a way like,
and you're not okay with people being different than you.
Yeah. Well, and also, and just somehow trying to create a culture of, hey, speak up when you fail, even if nobody else sees it. And we almost, in a way, we don't celebrate the mess that the failure created, but we do celebrate that, hey, it's cool that you said that. Now let's figure out a way together to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And celebrating the fact that it's been brought to light in a way. I mean, because in our business, like, people, it's easy to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And we deal with, like our main clients are attorneys and attorneys are great. But like, they'll call you out. And so sometimes you have conversations with attorneys where they're not pleased and a lot of times they maybe aren't. And like, so owning those situations where you did make a mistake and then you had a crazy encounter with an attorney or something like that. So yeah, that's really good. I like that. I like the identity thing is massive.
Yeah.
Especially for guys our age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're starting a new job or you're becoming a dad or you're getting married. You know what I mean? That's huge. Feels like it can spiral pretty quickly.
Yeah.
If you have the wrong view of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
What have you seen from guys that you've met with, like, that around our age? Is it normally around their career or is it sometimes with families or?
Yeah. Because I think, I mean, it's interesting. A lot of the guys I meet with, they'll come with me with a career problem, and I'll see it as an opportunity for them to really work on this stuff, right?
I need a job.
Yeah, right. And I'm like, man, this is the ideal opportunity, and which can be hard sometimes, especially if you got an expectation. But of what you're coming through. But this is like when you really sit down and think about this stuff, guys. If these are too many times, and I've hit on this before, we want money, resources, a job, a relationship to insulate us from pain, from disappointment, from failure, right? And there's something that gets embedded in us, maybe it wasn't a great childhood or a failure when we were young, and we want adulthood to solve that problem. But it's learning how to go, no, okay, this is life, and these things are going to happen and they're part of my growth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Again, you're giving yourself freedom to make a mistake.
Yeah.
Because you're going to.
It's just like, I can't.
And so that way, when you do make a mistake, you don't beat yourself up about it because you knew you would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're living life. You're actually doing it, versus some people try to, therefore, because of that belief system trying to insulate, you pull back and you withhold and you hide, or you just kind of hit the cruise control button and you numb everything out, and everything bad that happens, you're like, no, it ain't happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me that drink.
Oh yeah.
It's
How
like,
can I numb this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to keep going, but it's like these things, like, it's weird. It's more, I would say there's studies that come out more and more that say that men generally live longer I think men and women live longer who have kids. Like, there's studies out there. And I think it is because in our modern day, we can live so much of our life just full of comfort and discomfort free. And kids completely blow that bubble up, no matter what. And they could be great kids. I have a great, great son overall, like, has been amazing, sleeps well, right? But he's just going to have tantrums. He's going, it's like his poop's going to come out the side of his diaper. It's not all going to get caught, like, I mean, shit happens. Like,
Dude, man, that's so true. So being a new dad, so Eli's about to be 1, by the way, which is wild. He, like, sometimes, like, I'll be changing his diaper and everything's going fine. He's not hungry. He's not, and he'll just be like ticked. You know what I mean? He'll be screaming, and I'll be like, I'll have a thought where, like, I'll be like, "What's wrong, man? You're fine."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's all good.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, "Oh yeah, he's 11 months old."
Yeah.
Like,
he don't get it. I'm supposed to be the adult in the room here.
Why am I, like, trying to negotiate here?
Yeah. That's funny.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so my point, I think, going back to our discussion with Huberman and Michael Goggins, was like, there is something to, like, though we have this mindset of, like, righting our past wrongs or living in a state of constant comfort, it's like, by having kids, that struggle brings longevity because it's working parts of our brain that chooses the hard. Like, as a parent, you have to choose the hard. You can't just hit the cruise control button. You have to engage. You gotta, like, deal with what's right in front of you. It's like, I mean, this morning I got a little frustrated. It was really funny because my son he said he wanted oatmeal, so I made him some oatmeal. And literally, and then I started packing my lunch and my food for the day. And he saw this bar that I had, and he goes, "Bar, bar, 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 bar." I'm like, son, are you like one of those birds from Finding Nemo? Did we watch that or something recently? And you're just like, and that's what he wanted. And you're just like, and there's no reasoning with them. It's like, no, we made oatmeal, so that's what you're eating. And there could be, like,
what you have.
Right, yeah. And it's hard, but in that moment where you're, like, trying to get your day ready, going, and
yeah.
So
no, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Question for you.
Okay.
At what point in life do you think most men start questioning their identity? When do you think this identity thing starts to not be an issue, but a focus, even if they don't realize it?
Yeah. I would say,
you think it's early 20s?
It's 100%.
It was for me.
Yeah. Because there's something to, like, college, it can kind of hit, right? It can, you just, you got a little more freedom, and you don't, everything's not as structured for you. And so maybe success, you're learning how to find success within an unstructured environment. But it really happens, probably when you step into that mid-20s, and not everything is candy canes and rainbows.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah. I mean, so that was me, by the way.
Yeah.
So, like, I was, I graduated from Auburn in 2014, and I wasn't good enough to play football, but I knew I wanted to coach.
Mm-hmm.
And for years, throughout my whole college career, I did business, but I knew I wanted to be Nick Saban, man.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to coach football. I wanted to be around football. It's what I want to do. And I did tie my identity to it. And by the way, a lot of times in coaching, you'll see guys that totally tie their identity to it.
Right.
And so when I was so I literally left Auburn. I started coaching high school at Woodlawn High School, and just loved the game. I loved everything the game, like the relationships you get from the game. All the great stuff that you hear about all these coaches say, it's all true. And got a college job from there, worked at Stanford, worked at Faulkner University. And, but I was recently married, and I would see Carly, my wife, for about an hour and a half every Sunday morning. Like, that was all I got to see her.
Wow.
I still loved coaching.
Yeah.
And so I remember having this, like, not a crisis, but like a really kind of fork in the road for me. It's like, okay, what am I going to choose here?
Yeah.
Because I see all the coaches 5 years ahead of me, 10 years ahead of me. Most of them are divorced.
Yep.
If they're not divorced, then they don't have good relationships with their families. It's almost like their families didn't even expect much from them.
Right.
Which to me is like even more painful. Like, you know what I mean? And so Carly and I had to make a decision like, okay, I'm about to get out of coaching. That's been all I've been for the past 5 years. It's all I know. It's all the people I know. And so I had to choose, like, okay, if I strip this away from me, is who I am, or kind of what we were saying, like my identity, is it enough? And it was, and I think I made the right decision. I got out of it and started working in business. But and I still have guys that I coached with that, like, and I remember when I was thinking about leaving coaches, I would tell my coaching buddies that I knew at other schools and stuff. Like, I remember having a phone call with one guy and being like, hey man, I'm thinking about hanging it up and getting out, and so I can be with my wife and start a family and start thinking about that. And I'll never forget, it was just silence on the other side of the phone. And then finally he said something. He was like, what would you do?
Yeah. Like there's nothing else out there.
Like, there's nothing else out there. But that's so true, like especially in college football. But there was a moment for me where I was like, okay, I got to make a decision here. Not because Carly was about to leave me, but like because you could see 5 years down the road. And the next step for us was going to be like, who knows where across the country. And so now you move across the country with your new wife, and then you don't see her again.
Yeah.
So then Carly's
she's alone.
Yeah. So now Carly's living in a city by herself.
Right.
You know what I mean? And having to figure it out. So like, for me, I can totally relate to what you're talking about with the identity thing, because it was a very scary feeling of, well, when this stuff goes away. And by the way, I still, like, I loved it. I didn't want to leave. I wanted to coach. Like, my day to day didn't feel like work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I loved it. And, but still making that decision was like scary, not only because I didn't know if I would regret it or not, but because, well, who am I without this?
Yeah. That's where it was interesting. I had just the thought of, I do like to, help young men. It's like, especially if you're single, like, really get excited about your job and be ambitious and try to grow that and hone a skill. We've talked about that, trying to master, but like, don't let it become your identity, because I think like that guy you're talking to, that happens. It's just probably in every industry.
That's true. Yeah.
Is they get so embedded in it, they go, like, what else is there? You can become so, I mean, and it happens outside of industry, but you think this is the greatest thing.
Well, and I think it's even more, I think it's like, I don't even think he was asking what else you would do, because I think everybody knows you can find work.
Yeah.
I think what he was asking me was like, well, what do you mean? Like, who are you outside of this?
Right. Yeah.
Like, and I think he was probably thinking for himself, like, well, who, you know what I mean? Like, who is this person without football and without coaching? Like, this is what we do. This is who we are.
Yeah.
Talking about the identity piece. I mean, coaches always talk about in coaching, like, this is who I am. I'm a football coach. You hear that all the time. You even hear some of the good ones, the great ones, like Saban and all them say it. And I think part of it's true. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they do have a calling to like work with young men or whoever, whatever the successful business guy you're talking about. Like
Yeah.
they probably feel like they have a calling, but it's interesting to hear you say it's working in my brain now that there's like, yeah, you can feel called to do those things, but your identity doesn't have to live in those things.
Right.
I think that's where the disconnect is. And I think a lot of times, like, especially in your 20s and in your 30s, as you're shaping into the man you're going to be, I think a lot of times for us, especially where we live, and you are tied to the work that you do.
Right.
I mean, how many times do you see, like, do you know Cartwright Morris? Yeah, I know Cartwright Morris.
Yeah.
What does he do? What's he do?
Yeah.
Or they'll be like, yeah, this is Cartwright Morris. He's in ministry. Like, you immediately tie people to their occupation.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's hardwired in our brains.
Right. Yeah. Like the first you meet somebody, oh, what do you do, Bo?
Yeah.
You know, which I hate that question. It's like, I do a lot of stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're right. I mean, that's the first question you get.
Yeah. But there's something too, like it's so easy because it's what we do on a regular basis to get your identity kind of hardwired in it.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean,
well, it's just you spend the majority of your time doing it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's
a third of your life, pretty much, if not more.
Yeah.
But I'm like realizing I am much more than that.
And I think that it helps when you have a kid.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it helps when you have a kid.
Right. I got to turn this off.
Because now I'm more concerned about how he's doing and what he's doing than what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like my wife and I always joke. It's like, you know, I tell her sometimes that we're joking, but it's like, man, I'll go be a garbage man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you reach a point in your like career where it's like, it don't matter.
Right.
I just want to make sure you guys are good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's probably a healthy place to be.
That is, yeah. I mean, that's another thing. Yep. Some people do probably get their identity wrapped up in being a father or a mother, right? That can be another thing that people cut, but at the same time.
Well, because then your kid probably becomes perfect in your eyes.
Yeah, right.
You know, because that's the majority of your energy is going to.
Because, I mean.
Then how could Eli make a mistake?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, the teacher's wrong about that.
Yeah.
He didn't mess up.
No, right.
You know?
Yeah. But that's going to another thing of just like using to insulate yourself from pain and reflection, actively reflect and evaluate what's really going on here. Man, we could really keep diving into this topic because it is like there's so many things we just want to wrap our identity around, which is why I think Gladiator was such a good example. Because it's like those things are good.
Yeah.
But if you strip them away, who are you? What's left? You know, that question is really big. And then out of that, that's where you really do become a great husband or successful in whatever you do. Like,
well, it's the core of what I feel like it's the core of what you and I've discussed for 5 years, you being my mentor and coach. It's, this is good and this is good.
Mm-hmm.
It's the tension. I know we keep saying it. It's the tension. It's good to have an identity and like be known for doing a really good job at work or like, but don't let that become who you are. It's yes. And you know what I mean? It's like, it's both.
Yeah. Because if your identity does get attached to it, we'll say this, I won't even use the business. I'll use it even as a husband. Like if my identity gets attached to solely that's who I am, that's what makes me as being a good husband. When you get feedback or when you fail as a husband, you crumble.
Yeah.
Right. You're just like, oh no, what did I just do? You know, like, and it happens in business. Like when we fail in our work, it's like, oh no, how could I do that? And it's like when our identity is attached to those things, we live and die off of it. It's literally our existence is connected to it.
Yeah.
And like, that's not where life comes from. Sustaining of humanity. That's not where you become. It's like, it's really learning to go, oh, you can then receive feedback. You then can learn from failure when your identity is not connected to it.
Right.
So,
yeah, good point. Yeah.
Anyway,
cool.
I don't know. Have we beat it? Have we beat this dead horse?
Yeah. Until next week.
Until
we beat the next day.
Hey guys, Carl right here. Excited about what we're doing in Men Are Forged. If you want to participate in one of our episodes, please send in a question. We want this podcast to answer the questions you're asking. In the description, click that link. Hey, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.